Hello, hello. This is an awesome interview with Cara from Leo Listening. And I really want to talk to Cara because she does a phenomenal job, in my opinion, of optimizing and marketing her website using things like opt-ins and building email lists and things that are really great for long-term business strategy. And so I really wanted to speak to her about that. And we do a great in-depth discussion of the tools she uses and things she has planned for the future and things that have worked for her, like Facebook Live and webinars and things like that, as well as kind of how she got started with online teaching. So without further ado, here's Cara. I hope you enjoy the interview. So this is, everyone, this is Cara from Leo Listening. She is a online language teacher, and we're going to talk a little bit about how she got started, what she's doing now, and kind of the ins and outs of her business. So welcome, Cara. Thanks.
Hiya, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Could you start by giving us, I guess, a brief introduction of, I don't know, who you are, a little bit about your site and business, and kind of how you got into all this?
Okay, sure. So, as you said, yeah, my name's Cara. I'm from the UK. I've been in France since 2007. That's how I actually first got into teaching English as a foreign language. And I first had the idea to start teaching online back in 2012. And sort of after a couple of failed attempts, I finally kind of hit on what I wanted to really do. And then, so last year I created my site, which is leolistening.com, and it focuses on helping English learners who are comfortable reading, know a lot of vocab, that's all fine, but who really struggle when it comes to understanding, fast, informal spoken English. So, listening to other natives when they talk, or watching films and TV series with dialogue. So that's what I'm trying to help them out with.
I have a question about that. I guess, do you have a test you administer when a new student contacts you, just to make sure that the level that you need them to be?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I actually have it's a service really. I have a test that people can buy, which is to test their listening. Mm-hmm. So the idea is that they're confronted with some extracts of my speech, and it's actually, a genuine, fast conversational English, and they can take that for €5, and then they get my feedback on that. So I suppose if someone takes that and they really understand nothing, then I think I would say to them, right, I think obviously there's some bigger issues going on than just your listening skills. It's maybe that you've only been learning English for 6 months and actually you don't know, like,
this is the wrong place to start.
Yeah. So I've deliberately tried to have worked a lot on the website copy, and I've deliberately tried to make it very clear who I'm appealing to. And I kind of figure, although, from some emails I get, obviously some people aren't really kind of reading it properly. I'm trying to filter out people by the level of the site, by the level of the, the blog post, the written copy. In theory, they should be put off if they're really struggling. They're really, not even intermediate level yet. But I still get emails from people who probably aren't. But that's just part of.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be encouraging, nonetheless, that they still are looking for help. So just.
Oh yeah. No, that's it. No, I think it's great, but sometimes I'm like, oh, that means nobody's reading my website. But I don't think anybody is reading anybody's website. So.
Just gotta. Reach it out where they can.
You can't get too hung up about that. So.
Yeah. Well, actually, your website is, as you know, one of the big things I want to talk about here because it's really, really well done. But before that, I want to touch back on your time in France and kind of how the transition came from traditional classroom teaching to online, and then kind of any major differences that either you remember or that you might want to point out for people looking to make a similar transition, because it's, like a night and day almost.
Yeah, it's important to address that because I actually had the idea. It's kind of weird. So I taught English for 4 years, like it was my sort of full-time gig. And then after a couple of years, I was like, well, I think I do want to live in France long term, and this isn't really bringing in enough money beyond paying my bills and, you know, allowing me to like buy food for myself. So I thought, well, maybe I should kind of, if I'm deciding that I'm living here permanently, maybe I should kind of, you know, do something to, yeah. So I decided to enroll in a master's program, which was actually in like international business with languages. So that's not really like where my sort of heart is, but I thought, well, let's just try and do something like sensible. So it was a degree program with like internships built into it. And generally what happens is students get job offers at the end of these internships, or at least within a year, they're basically working in the field of their choice because they've had the work experience as well as the degree. So I thought, right, let's be sensible, let's do something like that. But I still had kind of in the back of my mind that I would kind of go freelance with my teaching in some way somewhere down the line, and that business experience would be helpful. So I found myself like interning in this English school in Switzerland. And I didn't really kind of take to it that much, but they wanted to actually keep me on, and they wanted to give me a lot of money because I live about an hour from the Swiss border, and there's lots of people where I live who actually work in Switzerland, so they commute to Switzerland, especially if they live like close to the border, because they can double or triple their salaries.
Oh wow!
Like people are earning crazy money, and especially now that the Swiss franc and the euro are at the same level, like you know,
so
people are going home and having baths in like you know, wads of cash. Like I mean, kind of crazy. So yeah, so I could have lived like that. I could have continued living in France, but like moving closer to Switzerland and then commuting and like just counting all my money on the way home. But I didn't really want to work there. But then one day I had this kind of epiphany, and I thought, well, what if I were to go online and I could recruit Swiss students, and I could undercut the schools in Switzerland and then as much money from my house. Well, that was kind of like my evil plan initially, but it sort of planted like a seed, and I thought, okay, maybe I could figure out a way to work online. And then I started kind of looking into it, and then it kind of flopped. And then I thought, well, I'll just go out and get a proper job for a while. So that's what I did. I had a non-teaching job, so I had like a stable salary, like I knew when I was working and everything. But then after a while, I was like, no, this isn't what I want to do. I want to go back to teaching, and I want to work for myself. So I quit my stable job, and then I got a part-time teaching job. So this is bringing us up to kind of the like September, October time, 2015. I had a part-time teaching job offline, and I thought, well, I'll use the time that I'm doing this job to try and figure out the online thing, and then kind of, you know, go off and do it full time. If that makes sense, like the sort of timeline. So that's kind of what I did. And then I just told everyone I knew that I was going to be teaching online. I didn't really know what I was doing, like at all. And like, I don't even think I had Googled, you know, teach English online. I don't really know what I was thinking. And I was very lucky. I have one of my friends has a very successful offline teaching business, but she lives in another city to me. And she had a student who'd been trying to get lessons with for like 3 years, and it just like, it never worked out because they weren't living in the same place. My friend went off and had a baby. Like, it was just too complicated. So she said, well, I'll send her to you and maybe you guys can sort something out. So I asked her if she wanted to work online. She said, yeah, why not? So that's kind of how.
That was student number one?
That was student number one, yeah. And you only need one
to
get started, and then that allows you to play around with it and figure out, you know, what you're going to do. So I did that, and then I got a second kind of practice student. I got because the issue for me was I hadn't been teaching full time for like several years. I had done a little bit on and off. I'd even done some volunteering where I was teaching, but like it definitely wasn't a full-time gig at all anymore. So I'd kind of lost contact with a lot of people, but there were some that were still like that I'd taught before. So I emailed a bunch of people, and then one of a former student, like at another school that I was working for, he said, well, why don't you give me English lessons, and in exchange I can do some like graphic design stuff and help you with your website and things like that. So I was like, yeah, that sounds really good, let's do that. So that allowed me to get kind of 2 students to practice on,
Yeah.
to get going.
Do you know the phrase, jump and a net will appear?
No, but I
Yeah.
see what, yeah, I see what you mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So it's like that kind of thing where hesitation can really only get you, you don't really fully embrace something, and then you finally jump in, and it kind of tends to work out. At least you hope it does. And yeah, I've experienced that a few times. It's really nice, and I'm glad it worked out for you. That sounds awesome, because your heart wasn't in like the non-teaching job, and you were able to come back to what you wanted to do the whole time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's still like a process. It's still not like obviously I haven't replaced my salary from my former non-teaching job,
Mm-hmm.
and there's things that I can't replace from that job, because I had all these, like, we had like payments in kind, we had bonuses, we had all this like extra stuff. But I mean, that's the choice you make, isn't it, when you
Yeah.
decide to go
Yeah. Work for yourself and chase
work for
your
yourself.
dream. Yeah.
But the potential payoff is that you could one day be earning way more than your colleagues, more than your bosses. You could have much more impact than you ever could have just
Yeah, there's no ceiling on anything, whether it's your influence and your earnings, all that stuff is obviously.
yeah, number of people you can reach. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't even compare if you allow yourself to
Yeah.
kind of think big. I was thinking very small in the beginning, but now I'm sort of thinking
Okay.
a bit
So,
bigger.
well, let's get a little bit more into your website. It's kind of cool to hear how it came about with your student doing the a bit of the design. I'm really curious about how you chose listening comprehension, and if you find like having a very like a focus like that has helped you along, or if like going like general English would allow you to I don't know, have more students, or how you feel about being very specific with your teaching.
Okay, that's an interesting story, and I think it's a really important point. So, I was starting out, and I was charging like, a ridiculous price. I was charging €15 for like 45 minutes of chat, because I
Yeah.
thought like that's the only thing you can really do. And I was kind of looking at like, oh, how many people would I need a week or a month to make like
A
X? And
livable, yeah.
I could feel myself panicking. I could almost feel tears welling up, because I was like, this is not gonna work.
Yeah.
And I at that point I knew there were sort of bigger platforms where I could kind of advertise myself, but just intuitively, it's going to sound weird, like it was just a gut feeling that I wasn't the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it was towards the end of November 2015, so I was kind of starting off, but I wasn't like sure where it was going or if it would work out. I basically met my mentor, who is a lady called Janine Bray-Muller, and she has a website called Entrepreneurial Freelance Teachers. And I ended up kind of paying to have a consultation with her.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me, what. Okay. And she told me basically that, I needed to kind of to narrow down my focus. And the easiest way to do this would be to just simply to pick my favorite student who I'd worked with, and then interview them about what their biggest problem was.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is you take that problem solution set and you turn that into your niche. Okay. So like for me, that was really mind blowing at the time. Now it's like online business 101. But at the time it was really, it was a really profound kind of piece of information. I really didn't, and I sort of didn't really believe it. So I sort of like half-heartedly decided to interview my online student, because she came to me just saying, well, I just want to chat, to practice my English, and then like now and again I'll need someone just to help me like understand some difficult sentences in the books I'm reading. Yeah. So I was like, well, that's what we'll do. But then actually when you get into interviewing someone in detail about their problems, and like people love talking about that, like it's hard to get them to stop talking, you actually uncover like what they kind of really want. So in my student's case, it was to kind of understand without translating. And this was things like she goes to conferences a lot, and she wasn't bothered about understanding the conference talks, because that was okay. But it was more like, what do I do when I'm chatting to people in between the talks and I'm networking, and then I can't, after a while, I can't follow because I'm translating, and then I get lost. So yeah, it came out of like one person's problem. And the logic that Janine teaches is if one person can have the problem, then many people can have it.
Yeah.
And it's not by just focusing on one problem that you're closing yourself off to only working with one person. You're actually opening up what you're doing, and it sounds very counterintuitive, but it's actually very logical. It's very logical when it comes to designing your products and services, when it comes to creating content, when it comes to advertising what you do, when it comes to collaborating with others, because it's very clear what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. You want to speak to people with that same problem, and and kind of tailor all the copy and everything. So it definitely makes sense. What a good exercise.
Yeah, no, it really was. It was really, and I was glad that I hadn't rushed to do anything like jump onto a platform with kind of a semi-generic promises. Because at first I thought, well, maybe I can do something around French speakers, and I know that a lot of them are kind of, so many people are doing the kind of intermediate learners, helping them to get to advanced, and like in France, it's like taking false beginners and just getting them to speak a little bit. It's like a big kind of. So I thought I was going to do something like that, but I actually realized that I'm not as passionate about that, or not as into doing that. So I was really lucky that I don't know if it was just like, again, it's like I was feeling frustrated intuitively. I knew that like it wasn't going the right way, and then it was one of those like when the student is ready, the teacher will appear moments.
Yeah, exactly. Just the right place, right time, coincidence type of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. And that was like reading one of her articles in a magazine called ESL magazine, and then going on her website, and then this is how these things happen when you're kind of online and looking at stuff, and so that was really, really cool. So that's how that came about.
Okay. So you started so your first student was a referral. Then you said you emailed a bunch of former students. How do you reach potential students now? Or more importantly, how do they find you in order to request information or help?
Okay. Well, like now it's fairly different because I've got a website, so that gives people a hub that they can go to.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at some stats yesterday, and like overwhelmingly, people come through social media.
Okay.
Like by and large, Facebook.
Okay.
Where I've got a page and I've got a group, and I think that could be either referrals from my own page or when people reshare my stuff.
Yeah.
People are coming through Instagram as well. Because I'm on Instagram, and that's it for social media, but that's a big referrer.
Yeah.
And then obviously when people are on the site, they have the option to download my freebie, and then they can join my email list. So obviously when that happens, obviously we've got a closer connection because I'm emailing them every week.
Yeah.
And obviously that's a great way to reach people and to develop a relationship with people. And again, that's kind of a non-negotiable if you want to teach online. And
I think any business now, it's email lists are so important just for being familiar to your potential students and clients and stuff like that, and just be able to share information when you want. It's a huge asset.
Oh yeah, no, it's so important. And it's been great as well because I email my list on a Friday when I publish my content, and it's really pushed me to make sure there's something every week. Something out, and I've got something for them, and because I know people are waiting for that email, and it definitely pushes you to to get organized on that front. So there's that. And then something I'm trying to do more this year is to collaborate and write guest posts and work with other teachers to get in front of their audiences. Because that's probably a better way than social media is kind of casting a very wide net sometimes. And I think sometimes you're better off going directly to, places where your potential clients are likely to be anyway, which is with other teachers. But again, if you're both clear on what you're doing, then, it's totally logical for the same student to go to one teacher, say for pronunciation, and then come to you for listening or grammar, whatever it is. So in that sense, it
makes sense. Yeah. What kind of success have you seen with that? Or are you just kind of getting into it, the guest posting?
I'm getting into it. I did I did some podcast interviews last year, and I did 1 or 2 guest posts.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably the biggest thing I did was doing a webinar with another teacher.
Okay. Yeah.
They can work really well, actually. So yeah, there was definitely different types of collab, and I think I contributed to a roundup post. I contributed to 2 of them, and I think after one of them there was a sale that came through.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And I think it was due to that. I'm not 100% sure, but
we'll say it was.
Yeah, we'll say. We'll say.
Yeah. The great thing about guest posting is that even if it falls flat, right? Even if like it's the wrong audience, they take no value from it. At least you're getting like a backlink, which will hopefully in turn help your organic traffic with your SEO and stuff. So
exactly.
Yeah,
And
I'm a firm believer in that.
A blog post, like it has a life beyond, say, if you compare like a social media post, which is going to disappear almost as soon as it's posted, and then a blog post which is going to like float around in the internet, in Google for like years.
Yeah, forever. Yeah.
Forever. Then even if the day it's published, it doesn't sort of really do anything. Later on down the line, somebody could find you through that. So it just maybe takes time.
Yeah, so. I definitely agree. Let's go back to Facebook real quick. I know on your site you had talked about using Facebook Live, like the live video streaming for a film course. Did that ever come about, and how did it work out?
Yeah, I did it. I did it in the first 2 weeks of January. I didn't get as many signups as I was hoping, because I actually made it a paid thing.
Did you do it to attract people, or did you do it and teach the course during the live session? How was it set up?
Yeah, that was it. Well, I mean, because it was in the group, I think because it was my coach Elena Mutunono who persuaded me to do it. So I'm working with her, and she has some very innovative ideas about how you can teach online.
Yeah.
Like other than the sort of traditional ways we might imagine. So she was like, why don't you just do something like this? Like it could, and if you do it in your group that already exists, maybe people in your group will be like, oh, what's this? And they might want to, come back and join it. In the end, it didn't quite work like that. But yeah, the people who signed up, I sent them basically all the videos they had to watch, all the clips, with some exercises to do, and then I was emailing them the answers every day, plus jumping on Facebook Live just to.
Okay. That's a really great approach. Kind of like I don't even know, a multi-step approach with both the live interaction and the email stuff. That's good.
So now I need to figure out, will I do it again in that format, or because I'm not sure that the videos are that exploitable. Because I could wrap it all up together, but like watching back the videos, I get the impression that they're like too kind of choppy, and because they are live. Yeah. And I don't think, even though like here we're supposed to have really, really fast, super fast internet, there's still you can see there's a lag, and so I'm not sure, because I was like, maybe I could turn that into an email course and have the video kind of in there, not live. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure how I'm going to reuse it, but it was an interesting way to work, and I think there's definitely potential for redoing something like that, because it's nice, because it gets people in the momentum. Yeah. You have to do this on this day, and then you can jump online.
And then they expect something, for the duration of the course and stuff like that, or the duration of the plan. Yeah. All right, I think one more question here about your site and marketing. What tools do you use? I guess, do you automate your emails with stuff like MailChimp, or is there anything that you use that has made your business a lot easier to run in terms of marketing and promotion?
Okay, so for the site, I suppose there's what keeps the site going anyway. There's the hosting. I've got a premium theme on the site, and to make it kind of look nice. And then yes, I'm using MailChimp. I'm using the paid version. Because I wanted to use automations, so that's in place. I think that's about it, actually. I'm trying to think what I do for on a recurring basis, but I think there's MailChimp. There's
I mean, that's general. You can do a lot with all that. Even just the basic version of MailChimp is still like perfect for growing a list. So
Oh yeah, definitely, because you can, link it up so that it delivers your opt-in, and then,
yeah,
it's just tricky if you want to deliver, for example, if you want to do content upgrades, so like for each post, you would say,
yeah, the automation is definitely, if you want to go that route, it's kind of yeah, crucial.
you have to pay for it. But like, there's things that I thought I needed, and it turns out like I didn't. So like at one point I was like, everybody's going on about lead pages and how you need lead pages, but in fact, I make my own. I have a plugin for me that comes with my theme for making nice opt-in forms, because
Mhm.
the mail ones are quite ugly. So I've just
Yeah.
made nice opt-in forms, and then with my MailChimp automation, I can hook that up to deliver content upgrades. Or like if I'm doing a webinar and I need a landing page, well, I just make a page on my site, and
Yeah.
then after the webinar is done, I just get
Get out
I
of
don't
there.
delete
Yeah.
the page, but I've just been like hiding them,
Yeah.
and that's
But
been fine. It's like,
yeah. There's so much out there like that shiny object syndrome where like, oh, lead pages or all these like paid programs that people get paid to promote, and yeah, they're not always necessary. So I'm with you on that.
yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of, the problem is there's a lot of like what I call like affiliate love. So
Yeah.
like, some people are getting some of these services for free because they promote them so heavily that in fact the affiliate income that comes back,
Yeah,
you know
is
you
worth
have
it.
to be
Yeah.
you just have to be very careful, because like when you get into that, you're going to think that you need like all these things, and you don't
Usually,
really like.
yeah, you usually don't exactly. All right, well then I guess let's switch into kind of the future of Leo listening. I know you said you're um, looking to get into, I guess, more products and services and things in 2017. What else can you say about what are your plans for the year?
Yeah, good question. So
Yeah,
just
if any, or if anything's going to change.
yeah, no, I do
Yeah,
have a lot of plans. It's just like, are they gonna come together?
yeah,
So I guess keep growing my email list,
yeah,
which makes a lot of sense. That's kind of, again, it's non-negotiable, but maybe just finding what are some other ways to grow it, what are the best ways
yeah. What works?
to grow it. Again, like I say, webinars have been really good for that. Even when I've just done a webinar on my own, um, it makes a big difference to the list growth. So there's that. And then I'm going to be running a program again in March that I do with using dictations. So it's called Dictate Your Listening Success.
Mhm.
So I ran it last year with 5 people. So I'm going to run it again in March and just, improve on it and
Yeah.
keep doing that because it's working out. And then I actually did a kind of a one-on-one version of that with a couple of students from the first version, because basically the way it works is I send them dictations and then they send me the transcription on WhatsApp.
Mhm.
So
That's
it's
a cool exercise.
sorry.
I said that's a really cool exercise to do the dictation. I like that.
Yeah, it's frustrating sometimes for them, but like it
Yeah.
definitely trains your ears really well. And yeah, and it works.
Yeah.
It definitely starts. It's a way to kind of see results more quickly than if you were just listening to stuff and
Yeah.
you know
And they can
kind
just
of
they can just repeat it and just try to get it down. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So yes, there is a one-on-one version of that like I've done and that exists. I just need to I need to
Yeah.
get it on the website. And then another plan with my podcast is I'd like to figure out what I could create around the podcast to kind of add value to it, and start making some money from it, because it started out just as kind of an extra piece of content,
Mm-hmm.
which makes sense given that I'm teaching people how to understand spoken
Yeah.
English. Now I'm kind of like, how could I was thinking of maybe creating a community around it and something paid where people would get more out of it, if you
Yeah.
like. Because like I post kind of exercises under each episode kind of on the site, but I was like, maybe there's a way of kind of taking that and adding more of them, adding the explanations and kind of yeah.
What if you did something initially, like something exclusive to your podcast, like you did, I don't know, like a mini lesson that people had to listen to the podcast, have access to, and you can grow it that way. And then once you grow it, then you maybe could monetize it a little bit. I don't know how to monetize it. I don't know what a good rate would that be.
No, I need to figure it out,
Yeah.
like exactly what I'm gonna. I had a product idea to go with it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that needs some thought. But that's like sort of germinating.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I've
and
listened to a lot of podcasts in 2016. They're great. So I think that if you can make it work for you and your audience and then monetize it on top of it, so like it's great. It's a lot of fun too.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So, and I think, yeah, I think there are ways to kind of figure something out with that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's all about kind of testing to see what works, right? So the first three or the first four or the first five might not be great at all, but you'll learn kind of what works and what appeals to your listeners for sure.
Definitely.
Um,
Um, yeah, I'm trying to think what else. And yeah, I'm having some success like offline.
mhm.
Um, Still working online, but finding the clients offline. So
Yeah,
yeah, I've also got some plans to kind of figure out how I could bring more people on board who are kind of living locally, and then, figure out that. So I've got some things in the works for that. I'm going to be doing some workshops like offline, and yeah.
so
So
your plan with that is to find them locally, but then teach them online.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's good. Yeah, that makes sense because yeah, there's certainly plenty of demand, as you said.
Definitely. Well, I mean, I figure this is the big advantage you have if you're living in a country where English is not the main language. People are looking to learn English, so you have to
Go
take
there.
advantage of it, even if you're
Absolutely.
not, even if your services aren't generic anymore. That's not to say that people aren't looking for something
Yeah.
more specific. So
Well, yeah, that's all great. Best of luck in 2017. The last thing I want to talk about is the online teaching kind of environment ecosystem is all pretty new. Like the word teacherpreneur and all these things you've only had the ability to teach online like 5-10 years just with the technology. Where do you see it kind of going as more people decide to try their hand at it? Everyone wants to work online now, right? So teaching is kind of going to be a competitive place in a few years, I think, if it's not already.
yeah, I suppose it's only going to get bigger, and maybe
Yeah.
more bigger players who are already in the industry have already got into it. Like maybe we'll see more schools and more publishers and things.
Yeah.
Everybody will be taking what they're doing in that direction, I guess. The only thing that gets me worried long term is like now you have some platforms where they're offering like unlimited lessons for like a flat monthly fee, and I have
Really?
read somewhere, yeah, that exists. I can't
Oh,
think of any names right now,
yeah.
but that does exist, and I have read before from a blogger in the kind of teacherpreneurial online learning circle that some of these platforms might be just like, what they're going to do is they're going to take all the information that happens in the lessons, turn it into a really complex algorithm, and then just create artificial intelligence that will be able to like teach
Teach.
people,
Uh,
eliminate the human element.
yeah. I
I don't
don't,
know how.
I,
Like I.
I was going to say, I could see that being a real possibility, but I'm not sure. I think so many people value the link between like a real human teaching them, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure a robot can teach people or artificial intelligence, but having the bond between you and your teacher, I think is a big part of a lot of people's learning styles.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, yeah, and I suppose some apps for the moment, they can only take you kind of
Yeah.
so far. But I don't know, maybe things will get really sophisticated,
Yeah.
like
Who knows?
moving forward. Yeah. So that's kind of like my kind of sci-fi kind of dystopian.
Yeah. Sentient. Yeah. Sentient future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, beyond that, I don't know. What I'm hoping is that people will get really creative in the ways that they teach online, and creative in their business models,
Yeah.
and because really we can do anything we want, and with the technology, and hopefully it will go in that kind of direction where we can create really interesting hybrids of like live elements, asynchronous elements, recorded elements, you know, all kinds of things,
Like,
and bring them all.
like learning on demand, depending on what you're looking for.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Or just, you know, in the way that kind of suits you, with the human element and with, you know, digital element as well.
Great. Well, Cara, thank you so much for your time. How can people find you and your website and Facebook and all that good stuff?
Okay, so the website is Leo, and then there's a hyphen, listening.com. On Facebook, the page is Leo Listening. My group is called the Leo Listening Lounge, so I guess if you type that in, you'll find it, because I don't think
something will come up. Yeah.
Yeah, somehow, yeah, it should come up. I don't think, yeah, anyone else has copied that name. And then on Instagram, my handle is a little bit different, because it's at Understand Spoken English.
That understands spoken. Yeah. Okay.
Should probably change it.
No, it's, I mean, it sounds like Instagram's working how you have it set up now, so might as well run with it. But yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for all the time and the great advice. The stuff you have about your list building and the focus on that and how it's non-negotiable, I think is huge. So I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any videos or interviews in the future.